Yeah, right.
Okay, Emily.
All right, so I guess talk to me a little bit about what the process has been since you guys really learned about getting the construction in here.
Yep. So since we were told that it was time to begin the construction project, we started working with other counties in order to relocate the inmates that are here into those counties, utilizing the same contracts that we've had over the last couple of years. And that's been done with corrections officers and transport teams, moving that small group of inmates to those facilities.
And while they don't have estimates for the whole temporary or long-term projects, I guess what's the estimates for housing these inmates out of here, and how does that compare if they were still in here?
The batch of inmates that we have sent to these other counties are costing the sheriff's office in Marathon County about $2,000 a day. So if you extrapolate that out, depending upon the term of this construction project, that could be a couple $100,000 depending upon how long it takes to get decisions made about what next steps are.
And I guess what is it per day here currently?
It varies depending upon the inmate and whether or not they have medical needs, mental health needs, dietary needs, but it's usually about $35 to $38 a day, and on the high end it could be upwards of $45. Most of our contracts are currently with those counties at between $38 and $45.
Okay, so the 2,000 would be like the cumulative grouping of inmates, not just per inmate, $2,000 each.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for that group of inmates. It's about $2,000.
Okay, and so talk to me a little bit about also the, you mentioned you have some out on electronic monitor. How did that process work?
So any of the inmates that we've let out on electronic monitor are inmates who are eligible to be on that monitor. These are not people that we just went and picked out of the blocks and said, hey, today is the day for you to go on a monitor. These are people that have been approved by the courts because they have Huber status. They're already going out for job search, work, and some of those other opportunities that they have. And what we're doing now is we're just increasing the amount of supervision that we give to those folks who hadn't had it in the past. And that might mean visits from deputies, from corrections officers with deputies, or just corrections officers going out and checking on them more regularly than we normally would.
Okay, so normally is it probation officers that would be with them, or is it corrections officers?
It's corrections officers. And here in Marathon County, we actually have our deputies. It's part of their normal assigned duties. It's to go check on people who are on electronic monitor. And remember, these people are the people that are very low risk, and that's why we give them this opportunity.
And so transporting people out to these jails, did you largely use your dedicated transport teams, or was there a lot of bringing in outside transport?
There was a mix. We used some deputies on their normal patrol shifts who did it. We had some deputies on overtime. We had some detectives assist with that. We had our transport team do it, and in some cases corrections officers were a part of those transports, whatever was most efficient at the time.
Okay. I think I'm good. Is there anything else?
Just if you could, I know it's a very complicated process just from talking to you throughout this whole deal, but if you could just give us the nuts and bolts of it, just exactly what's going on with the building, what's wrong with the building, and where do we go from here?
What I know of the issue is this is not a new issue. And I think that that's what the public needs to understand as we've been monitoring this for years. We've noticed settling, we've noticed walls moving, and we've worked with engineering firms over the last several years in order to measure how much that movement is and determine whether or not that movement is critical and that we need to begin intervention on it at a certain point. Up until this year, the movement was minimal, and they had told us and reassured us that we were fine doing what we were doing. Several people have made the assumption or belief that the snow load from this last winter put enough strain on that flat roof that additional weight is what has caused the additional movement, at which point the engineers said, you know what, it's time to act. You have to do something with the building at this point, and that's where we're at.
So this all just kind of came up here in the last few months, correct?
I would say that the issue with this facility has been known for years. The fact that it has now become something that has to be dealt with immediately is brand new. And the only explanation that anyone can find right now is that it added snow load, because we have not changed the capacity or the load on the facility as it relates to inmates.
So then walk us through what's going to happen on Thursday. We're going to hear from the engineers, and then the county board is going to make a decision regarding funding for this. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So what decision do you hope or will be made on Thursday, or do you think or hope could be made on Thursday?
There's two options on Thursday as I understand it, and I have not been a part of those discussions, but I know enough about the process. One will be that an emergency declaration will be made and the county administrator will be told that he is to deal with the situation and is given the funds to do that immediately. The other one is, because we have shoring in place here, the county board may elect to say, we're going to hold off, we're going to put this out to bid through an RFP process, and based upon the responses back from those RFPs, we will hire the firm that's most capable of dealing with this, and then we will begin the construction process for remedying the issue here at the jail.
So what is the work being done right now as we speak?
All that's being done right now is they're shoring the building to ensure that there's no additional movement, and primarily so that when they come in to actually do the work, it's safe to work and it's safe for people to be in.
Brad mentioned this a little bit, but are corrections officers' jobs in jeopardy given that there is a lower population?
They are not, and that's because, well, two things. One is the design of this facility is not like a modern jail. This is a very antiquated system here, where our jail is a more of a linear jail. It's not direct supervision. In a modern day jail, you could have a lot less staff assigned to the facility. In our facility, we use the same number of staff to monitor the inmates that we have because we make our staff run all over the building. The same number of staff are required to go into the cells that we currently have as we had in the others because they did what were called rounds. Because of that, we may not need maybe 1 or 2 additional staff members, but we're assigning those staff members to go out and do those checks on the inmates that are out on monitor. So their jobs are different, but they're doing this corrections officer's function.
So you're just kind of repurposing them for now.
Absolutely, because we have to. We have to continue to supervise the folks that we have out on those monitors.
So everybody that's on the monitors, everybody in the community is being checked up on, and there's no danger to the public.
Absolutely. These are all low-risk offenders who have been determined by the court to be eligible for the monitor.
Do you have any percentage of, compared to what you guys, I guess, usually have on monitor? I know it fluctuates, but usually have on monitor to what you have now?
We were averaging, it would vary depending upon the time of year and the inmates that we had in. We'd be as low as 14 out on monitor, but we would be as high as 30 on monitor. And 30 was rare. So I would say that on average, 20, 21 would probably be our number out on those monitors. We've doubled that. So the staff that were assigned to do that need extra help to monitor the doubling of that population.